my top 10 point guards in the NBA. At number 10 is Maxey, who I love as a compliment to Embiid, but his average playmaking and inefficiency without Embiid this year make me less confident in his abilities as a number 1 than everybody else on this list. At number 9 is Ja, which I know will surprise a lot of people. There's a few reasons I'm lower on Ja than the average person. He's the least efficient player on this list. He was a couple points below league average true shooting percentage last season, and he is a very inefficient pull-up shooter, which is a real issue in the playoffs. That inefficiency means that he's never actually been a very good half-court offensive engine. In fact, his last 2 seasons, Memphis has had a 17th percentile and 22nd percentile half-court offense. His surrounding personnel hasn't been great, but that would still never happen with a Trey or a Hallie. They would create more efficient offense for themselves and others. Ja also plays a very ball-dominant style and is limited away from the ball because of his shooting, so he's not at all versatile or conducive to being a number 2. So everybody I have above Ja is either more versatile or just a better ball-dominant half-court offensive engine like a Trae Young. I do think Ja gets a boost from a lot of fans because he is so fun to watch and because Memphis has won a lot of games, but that's been mostly on the back of a great team defense, depth, and regular season effort. I slightly prefer Fox to Ja because of his defensive edge, better off-ball play, and real edge as a shot maker. Ja's playmaking edge and relentlessness as a driver does make that one very close, though. I have Dame at number 7, and even though he obviously regressed this past year, I'm optimistic he'll be better next season. His all-time shooting still gives him a special ceiling in terms of efficiency, warping and stretching out a defense to create for others, and playing off-ball as a number 2. I think his fit with Giannis can improve, and his ceiling as an offensive engine just surpasses the guys below him. But he did lose a step this year, there's no denying that. I have Trae at number 6 because even with his limitations that everybody loves to harp on, and they are real, defense, shot selection, overwhelming ball dominance, he still just churns out great offenses. With mediocre personnel, the Hawks are at least an 80th percentile offense with Trae on the floor every year. Nobody below him on this list can carry an offense like that, and I do think if you paired him with a great big and a good team defense, perception on Trae would change because he would lead a great offense and potentially a great team. And he did become more passable defensively this year. At number 5 is Hallie, who just optimizes offense. His decision-making is brilliant, he's a genius in transition, his touch is absurd, he's a great spot-up player, and he is constantly creating advantages to get the defense in rotation and get that ball moving. And he creates a culture of selflessness that maximizes his team's offensive ceiling. The box score may not always look crazy, but he's an offensive genius, and there's a reason he led the best offense in basketball this year. Also, he was obviously affected by his injury for the second half of the year, so I wouldn't hold that against him. I think the top 4 is pretty straightforward, but I still prefer Steph to Brunson because the ceiling that he can produce for you offensively is absurd. With his overwhelming off-ball value, his ridiculous efficiency, the Warriors were still an 80